My wife had been deeply immersed in a significant project for nearly 5 months now. It wasn't something she was doing for herself, but she was the one in charge and bore the full weight of its success. This project was essential for her company, Apex Solutions. The past 5 months had been particularly challenging for her because of the intense demands. It wasn't just vital for her, the entire company was depending on it. If this project didn't succeed, Apex Solutions could be in serious trouble. Anna, my wife, earned her bachelor's degree from Crestwood College and an MBA from Turlington School of Business. She was hands down the sharpest person in our family. I, on the other hand, began working as a mechanic right out of high school, and after 23 years, I'm still turning wrenches. It didn't bother me. I liked the work, and the pay was decent. It allowed us to cover Anna's college expenses and raise our 3 kids comfortably. We didn't live extravagantly, but we were getting by just fine. Our kids had all moved out, and financially we were stable. Anna got pregnant 4 months after we tied the knot when she was 19. In the early years, we stayed with my parents, who had a large, mostly empty house since my 3 siblings had left home. This arrangement worked well because we had built-in babysitters while Anna completed her initial college years. 2 pregnancies stretched her 4-year degree into nearly 7 years, but she pushed through and made it happen. I always had a steady job and could count on extra hours if we needed the money. After Anna graduated from Turlington, we rented our own place. She received job offers from several major firms, but they all required us to relocate. I didn't mind the idea, but Anna wanted to stay close to her roots. That's why she opted to work at Apex Solutions. The job paid well, and more importantly, gave her significant responsibility and a clear path to climb the corporate ladder. Anna was dedicated and hardworking. Her big presentation was set for Thursday at the Kingsley Hotel in downtown Langston. I decided to take a few days off to support her in any way I could, though in the end, all I managed to do was make her a meal when she got home. The clatter of pans and the sizzle of vegetables filled the kitchen as I tried to be useful, even if it was just for dinner. I didn't know much about her work, nor did I have much interest in it. High-level corporate stuff just wasn't my thing. Business people from Europe, Asia, and South America were flying in for this event. The company covered their travel expenses and put them up at the Kingsley Hotel. It was a costly affair, and from what Anna hinted, the company might have been stretching its budget a bit thin. Her presentation was critical not just for her, but for the company and the 250 employees counting on its success. Everything seemed fine until Tuesday evening. Anna came home in a new outfit, a slate gray suit with a crisp white blouse. She meticulously laid everything out on the bed in the guest room, preparing for the upcoming days. The rustle of fabric and the click of hangers echoed through the quiet room as she organized her clothes. While she was generally organized at home, she was especially meticulous when it came to work. I didn't see why she needed her fancy underwear, but I kept my thoughts to myself. Besides her suit for the presentation, she had packed several cocktail dresses for the social events planned around the presentation. I usually steered clear of these kinds of events, but felt like I should go with her if she wanted me to. She thanked me for the offer, but assured me it wasn't necessary. All the materials and equipment she needed were already packed in the trunk of her Civic. I heard the trunk close with a heavy thud as she drove herself to ensure everything was in perfect order. Anna had the entire day on Wednesday to prepare and the evening to socialize with the guests. She was so competent at what she did that I felt I should just stay out of her way. Once everything was ready, she checked and double-checked her work. All she needed now was a hot shower and a good night's sleep. My mistake was letting my curiosity get the better of me while she was showering. I thought I was helping by organizing her things on the bed, but it turned out I wasn't. While moving items around, a small white envelope slipped out of the side pocket of her makeup bag. It was from a pharmacy we didn't usually go to. Inside were 10 pills. I didn't recognize the name CeraVe, and the instructions were puzzling. If necessary, take 1 pill and then a second pill 12 hours later. I assumed it might be something for anxiety or nerves, but the instructions didn't make much sense. The prescription had been filled in her name just the day before. I quickly put the envelope back as she finished her shower. I decided to look up CeraVe before asking her about it. Of course, bringing it up would mean admitting I'd gone through her things, which was a dilemma I wasn't keen on facing. While Anna got ready for bed, I went to our home computer and searched for CeraVe. 10 minutes later, I joined her under the covers, but sleep wouldn't come. I lay there wide awake, wondering why my wife needed a prescription for an emergency contraceptive, especially since I'd had a vasectomy nearly 8 years ago. The next morning, I got up early but didn't feel rested. I took a long walk, hoping it would help me clear my head. Reluctantly, I headed back home, unsure of what I might say or do when I got there. Our eldest son, Ethan, joined the Army right after high school and was now stationed in Fort Hood. Our daughter Clara got married last year and moved to Denver, and our youngest Sam just started college in Florida. That left just Anna and me. I missed the kids but looked forward to growing old with my wife. She was the only woman I'd ever truly been interested in, and now it felt like everything was falling apart. If Anna was having an affair, she hid it well. I never checked up on her. I never looked at her emails or phone records. I had no reason to. I had no idea what she was doing at work or afterward. I trusted her completely. Jack took a deep breath, trying to steady his thoughts. He didn't know what to think anymore, but the sense of betrayal gnawed at him, and it wasn't something he could just ignore. "Jack, where have you been? Do you want some eggs or something?" "No, just coffee," I replied, not feeling very chatty. "What's wrong, honey? It's just for 3 days. You can come if you want, but you'll probably be bored stiff." "No, I really don't want to go, but I hate the idea of you being alone. I worry when you're not around." "That's sweet of you, but I'll be fine. I'm not leaving the hotel at all. Today I'll make sure the conference room is ready, and tonight I'll mingle with the clients. Tomorrow I'll be so busy I probably won't even have time to eat. I'll be home as early as possible on Friday. I promise we'll have a fantastic weekend together, if you catch my drift." Jack forced a smile. "That all sounds good, but you can't blame me for worrying. I'm just a mechanic with a beautiful, successful wife. Sometimes I feel like you're more focused on your career than on us." Anna stopped and turned to look at him, her expression softening. "Stop it, Jack. I've always respected what you do, and I've never said otherwise. You raised 3 great kids and put me through college. You're a wonderful husband, a great father, and an excellent provider. Don't ever forget that." I finished my coffee as she cleared the table. "Should I call you?" "No, that's not a good idea. I'll have my cell off and I'm turning off the room phone tonight so I can get some sleep. I'll call you whenever I get a chance." I helped her load the car, watching her fuss over every little detail, just like she did with everything work-related. It would take her about 3.5 hours to get to the Kingsley Hotel. I stood on the porch watching her drive away. I didn't mention the pills. I spent the rest of the morning on the porch, worrying more than I ever had before. I felt small and out of place, like I didn't belong in her world. I was just a small-town guy with a regular job, and she was out there succeeding. I should have seen it earlier. I felt like a fool. The best suit I owned was a blue blazer with some old slacks. At least I had a few ties, even if they were a decade out of date. I had just finished getting dressed when the phone rang. "Hey, Jack, just wanted to let you know I made it here okay. The drive wasn't too bad. Traffic wasn't too heavy. It was fine. I'll call you tonight. I gotta go now. I'm in room 914. Anna, I could stay at my parents' or my brother's tonight if you want to call me on my cell." "Okay." Her cell phone rang. "Love you. Gotta go." I took my time getting to Langston. I didn't head straight to the Kingsley. I stopped first to grab a steak and cheese. Knowing it was going to be a long night, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I parked in the hotel garage and just sat there waiting. At some point, I had to go inside, but I couldn't decide when. Then my cell rang, pushing me to make a move. "Jack, I just wanted to let you know everything's settled. I'm going downstairs now to meet some people and have dinner. You didn't forget anything, did you?" "No, everything's fine. I've got everything in my room for tomorrow. Do you need anything?" "No, Jack, relax. I'm turning my phone off. I'll call you tomorrow morning." "All right?" I chuckled. "Have fun." "It's not fun, Jack. It's work." The tension built as I stepped into the bustling hotel lobby, and I tried to blend into the crowd. I grabbed a brochure showing the layout of all the rooms and wandered around, getting a feel for the place. I found an event board listing all the rooms being used by different groups. Apex Solutions didn't have any rooms reserved for Wednesday night. That didn't make sense. Anna had said she wouldn't be leaving the hotel, but now I wasn't sure. There were 3 dining rooms, family, casual, and fine dining. Anna wasn't a big fan of dining with kids, so I checked the casual room first. It took me about 5 minutes to confirm she wasn't there. I had better luck in the fine dining room. There, tucked away in a cozy booth in the corner, was Anna, wearing a sleek black cocktail dress with a plunging neckline and pearls. She looked stunning, and her companions seemed to agree. I recognized some of the people Anna worked with, but the man across from her was different. His face looked familiar, but I couldn't place it. The room was full, so I made my way to a table and settled in. The candles were too much for me, so I blew them out, claiming they were bothering my eyes. I ordered my usual chicken dish and kept an eye on Anna. The waiter topped off my coffee for the third time. "Excuse me, the guy at the table over there looks really familiar. Do you know who he is?" Sure, that's Charles Evan Reed. He's on the city council and is expected to run for Congress in a few years." "Is that his wife with him? She's very pretty." "No, this is the first time I've seen her. He usually reserves that table for special ladies, if you catch my drift." I just smiled and asked for the check. I had never seen Anna so captivated by a man before. She hung on his every word like he was something special. They weren't doing anything inappropriate, but it didn't look strictly professional either. When I left, they were finishing their second bottle of wine. Now I understood why she packed her fancy lingerie. I found a spot in the lobby where I could sit unnoticed. About 10 minutes later, they emerged from the restaurant, holding hands as they made their way to the elevator. I watched the floor indicator closely. The elevator stopped on the 3rd floor, which was a good sign. It meant she hadn't taken him to her room, but it was a bad sign when the elevator didn't go to the 9th floor. It meant she went to his. Just in case I was wrong, I sat in the lobby watching the elevator for an hour. People came and went, but Anna wasn't one of them. I got my empty suitcase out of the car and headed to the front desk. Even though I could prove I was her husband, it took some convincing to get a key card. They finally relented after calling the room, but no one answered. Finally, I was on my way to room 914 with the key card. I didn't even turn on the lights at first. I just sat in the dark room for over an hour. It wasn't hard to ensure she wouldn't come back. First, I packed all her clothes and personal belongings. I didn't leave a thing behind. I checked the package of Ceravin. There were still 10 pills inside. On the dresser, neatly laid out, were all the materials she needed for her presentation. I began packing them up too. There were 30 specially bound promotional folders and another 25 regular ones. They all went into the suitcase. Next, I packed the digital projector and her laptop. I took her purse and cell phone, which she left behind. All she had with her was a clutch and probably some lipstick. I carefully walked around the room, making sure I didn't miss anything. Once I was satisfied, I left her car keys and my wedding ring on the dresser. Other than those 2 items, the room was completely empty. The elevator took me straight to the parking garage. I had no trouble carrying the 2 suitcases, and 20 minutes later, I was on the expressway heading north. It was well past 3 in the morning. I had no idea so much time had passed. An hour or so later, my cell phone rang. Caller ID showed it was the Kingsley Hotel's number. Jack? Yeah. Where are you?" "I'll be back at the house soon." That's all I managed to say. The line went dead silent on the other end. Salespeople have an old saying, "The first one to speak loses." It felt like an eternity before she finally responded. "Jack, I'm so sorry." She didn't ask anything, just hung up. I turned off my phone. It was clear she had gone back to her room. Later that day, she was supposed to give a presentation that could save her company and secure her a promotion. I stashed the suitcases in the attic of the garage. Anna never went up there and wouldn't think to look for anything there. Of course, by then, I knew it didn't really matter anymore. First, I gathered up all my clothes and personal belongings. Like most guys in my line of work, I had my own tools. It's practically a job requirement. I swung by the shop, loaded my gear into the Outback, and picked up my last paycheck. By that time, the banks were open. I didn't have to do anything tricky with the finances. I just withdrew all the money from my accounts. I stopped for lunch in Hagerstown, Maryland. I had enough money to get by for a few years, but I knew I'd be looking for work sooner rather than later. Anna and I were similar in that way. We both found comfort in work. I was going to miss her. I killed a couple of hours exploring the Luray Caverns before renting a room near Whiteville. I didn't have a clue what my next move would be. On Saturday, I found myself sitting at the Chattanooga Aquarium, watching all sorts of marine life I'd never seen before. I spent hours just relaxing and decided it wasn't a bad place to be. I bought an annual pass to the aquarium, and by dinner I had found a place to stay. It was a mobile home in the park, nothing fancy, but it was furnished and cheap. I didn't need much. First thing Monday morning, I was going to find a job. A good handyman can always find work, especially if he's willing to put in the effort. I figured I could stay under the radar until it was time to renew my driver's license or car tags. I'd cross that bridge when I came to it. Sunday afternoon, I called Clara. I felt like I should let her know what was going on, but Anna had already filled her in. She was upfront with Clara about everything that happened. She admitted she cheated, that I caught her, that I left, and that she lost her job. I felt bad that she lost her job, but that was the price she had to pay. I asked Clara to let Ethan know the next time she talked to him. I also told her I'd check in about once a month to see how things were going. I didn't tell her where I was. By noon the next day, I had a job. It was a short walk from the trailer park, and there was a Waffle House about halfway there. What more could a man want? I wasn't sure how they handled the paperwork, but I was making $25 an hour, no questions asked. I was happy, and they were happy. I wouldn't even need to dip into the money I'd brought with me. About 2 months later, Clara let me know that Anna had moved out of the house and was living with her parents. Clara didn't know much more, but was glad I was settled and doing well. Ethan called me from San Diego to let me know he was heading out on a cruise. He was working as an avionics technician on an aircraft carrier. He tried explaining what he actually did, but it went over my head. I never really understood technical stuff. Both of them were careful not to speak badly about their mother, and I appreciated that. After that, life went on as usual. I started talking to Clara at least once a week, and Ethan and I began emailing regularly. Clara kept in touch with Anna, but she didn't share much about what her mother was doing or where she was. I never filed for divorce, and it seemed Anna hadn't either. I got a Tennessee driver's license and updated the tags on the Outback. I started going to a local bar a couple of times a month, and even ended up having a few flings. 2 different women took turns becoming my regular nighttime companions. They weren't looking for anything serious, and neither was I. It worked out well for everyone involved. Life was good. That was a long time ago, and gradually I forgot about Anna. Eventually, the Outback started giving me trouble. I hadn't kept track of how long it had been. The car had over 200,000 miles on it. I was pondering all this over a beer one day when it hit me. It had been nearly 5 years since I left home. I had stayed in close touch with both kids. By that time, Clara had 2 kids of her own and was eager for me to visit. Ethan almost married a Thai woman, but backed out at the last moment. I usually worked 6 days a week and spent Sunday recovering from Saturday night. There was no good reason for someone to be knocking on my trailer door at 6 a.m. on a Friday. Their rudeness was met with a half-naked man answering the door. Day-old boxers are pretty gross, and the lady at the door, judging by the look on her face, agreed with me. She turned away, but her companion didn't seem bothered. Normally, I would have put on pants, but at a time like this, visitors just annoyed me. "We're looking for Jack Collins." "I don't know you." "My name's Dave Simmons, and this is my wife, Mara. We have a problem, and we're hoping you can help us." "Sorry, I don't work under moonlight. If you need something done on your car, you'll have to go to the shop." This was met with blank stares and then finally a response. "It's not about your job. It's more of a personal issue. Can we come in?" The inside of the trailer looked like a mess. I rarely had guests, so I rarely cleaned. Even my girlfriends insisted we go to their places. "Be my guest. Let me throw on some pants real quick." I left the bedroom door open as I dressed, just to show them what a welcoming host I am. I also threw on a shirt. "Want some coffee? It'll only take about 10 minutes. I moved some things off the couch so they could sit down. There was no answer to the coffee offer. "We have an adopted daughter who's almost 5 and a 2-year-old who needs a bone marrow transplant. We're hoping you can help us. We're willing to pay you if necessary." "Buy my bone marrow?" "No, we want to use it, and we're prepared to compensate you for any inconvenience." "So you do want to buy it?" I was being a wise ass, and I suddenly realized it. These people were serious. They had a real problem and were looking for help. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Please go on." "Our best chance of finding a donor is next of kin. You're our best hope. Hold on a second. I don't mean to sound rude, but I think you've got the wrong guy. When was your daughter born? She'll be 5 in July. Mara Simmons spoke for the first time, and she sounded sincere. I hate to break it to you, but I had a vasectomy over 15 years ago. There's no way I could be her father. Then why is your name on her birth certificate? I can't answer that. Maybe you should ask her mother. That statement was met with silence. I felt bad for these folks, but I didn't know how to help them. What's the mother's name? Anna Elise Collins. I was at a loss for words. Maybe I shouldn't have taken those damn pills from her. But then again, if I hadn't, these people wouldn't have a daughter at all. I thought I was done with grief, but here it was again, creeping back into my life. Memories of Anna with that politician in Philly came flooding back. Just when I was starting to forget it all, it was back. Damn it. I understand now, and I apologize for my rudeness and insensitivity. I'll do everything I can to help you. First, why can't Anna donate the bone marrow herself? Medically, she can't. Why not? She's the mother. She should be a good match. She is a match, but she's too sick. The doctors refuse to even consider her as a donor. Sick with what? She's dying of liver failure. They've given her less than 6 months. This doesn't make sense. She was always in perfect health, and I don't see why liver disease would prevent her from donating bone marrow. The hospital won't accept her consent. Are you saying there's something wrong with her mind? They both looked at me in silence. They knew the answer but didn't want to say it. I didn't want to push them further. 10 minutes ago, I didn't care about these people, but now I felt the need to protect them and help them. How did this happen? Could any of my kids be a match? Maybe, but we thought you were our best hope. Why don't you go after your real father? We thought it was you. We have no idea who else it could be. Anna didn't mention anyone else. In fact, she wasn't in any condition to explain anything, Mara added. Most of our information came from the adoption agency. I needed to make some coffee and take a break. Excuse me for a moment. I left my guest sitting there while I brewed the coffee. It only took a few minutes. While it brewed, I took a much-needed bathroom break. I tried to be discreet. I'd already embarrassed Mara enough. Where do you live? Westchester, Virginia. I'll make you a deal. If I tell you who your daughter's real father is, you have to promise me you'll go after him relentlessly until you get what you need. What are you talking about? Your daughter's father is a prominent politician in Virginia. He'll deny everything and will probably use his legal resources to fight you. But if you push hard enough to make him admit the truth, you might be able to pressure him into getting the bone marrow transplant. That's what you want, right? Yeah, sure. But how do we pull that off? I'm not entirely sure. I'm a mechanic, not a politician. But I think your best bet would be to leverage the media, television, radio, newspapers. Politicians will go to great lengths to avoid bad press. Do you have any connections who could help? Their expressions brightened. I must have struck a chord of hope. I think we can manage that. So who is he? Dave asked, determination in his voice. Charles Evan Reed. He's running for the U.S. Senate. I'd bet anything that he'll bend over backward to steer clear of a scandal. The coffee was ready, but Dave and Mara were eager to head back. Before they left, I gave them Clara and Ethan's contact information in case they needed backup. I was sure my kids would pitch in if needed. I also asked them where Anna was living. I figured I'd be in Pensacola before they even made it back to Westchester. I got a haircut and picked up a new shirt. Anna had shattered my life, but for some reason, I still wanted to look decent when I saw her. Her place was another trailer, but this one was a newer double-wide. Her old Volvo was parked out front, sporting a flat tire and a busted windshield. The woman who answered the door wasn't Anna. She looked haggard, like life had been a rough ride, probably in her late 40s or early 50s, and the absence of makeup didn't do her any favors. I barely had time to open my mouth before she spoke. Well, if it isn't Jack Collins, never thought I'd see you around here. I had to fall back on the old cliche. You've got me at a disadvantage. Sherry Hale. Come on in, honey. Can I get you a beer? No, thanks. I'm here to see Anna. Sherry walked across the small living room and pointed toward the dining area. Here she is, Jack. Take a good look. She gestured to a brass urn sitting alone on a small table. I guess I was too late. I stood there staring at the urn, unable to move. Maybe I will take that beer now. Anna had moved to Pensacola after giving up her baby for adoption. She bought the trailer with the money she got from Apex Solutions after being laid off. She had a profit share for 401k and other benefits that helped her get by for a while. Eventually, she took a job at a local garment factory in the shipping department, where she met Sherry. Sherry rented a room from Anna. Every penny Anna earned went toward alcohol. She started with wine and eventually turned to the cheapest liquor she could find. Her drinking cost her the job, and she had to live off her savings. She never dated or socialized. Sherry stuck around, paying the bills and buying groceries that Anna wouldn't touch. Over the course of 3 years, she drank herself to death. Surprisingly, Anna had left a will, and she left me the double wide and the Volvo. Sherry told me that Anna was so consumed by guilt over what she had done that she just gave up. She didn't try to prevent the pregnancy, nor did she consider ending it. The adoption was set up months before the baby was born. She never returned to a steady job, only doing a few odd jobs here and there, which she barely managed. Sherry said Anna seemed to have no drive or purpose left. She talked about me often but was too ashamed to reach out. Clara had given her my number, but she never called. It was as if her one mistake had destroyed her more than it did me. I stayed in Pensacola for a couple of weeks. I sold Sherry the trailer for a token dollar and managed to get $1,000 for the Volvo. 2 days later, I found myself in Westchester, visiting Dave and Mara. Charles Evan Reed tried to resist, but Dave and Mara applied enough pressure to make him crack. He demanded DNA tests, which confirmed he was the father. To protect his image, he reluctantly agreed to the bone marrow transplant, and thankfully it was successful. However, his political and personal life unraveled quickly. His poll numbers plummeted, and his party replaced him with another candidate just months before the election. His wife filed for a very public divorce, adding to his downfall. Now I'm heading to Dallas to see Clara and meet my grandkids. I'm bringing Anna's ashes with me. I'm not sure how long I'll keep them around. Probably just long enough to say my final goodbyes. Enjoyed today's tale? Hit the like button. Share your thoughts. Don't miss out and subscribe for a new story every day.